Hello my friends, I'm Serenity Dawn and welcome to this story. Today is day 7 of the reading rush. It is the final day of this week-long readathon. We did it, y'all. It has been quite a week, but I am excited to have been able to participate and to meet some wonderful people and watch some cool videos and see some beautiful photos and read some good books. The challenge for day 7 is Book Rec Heaven. We are supposed to tell a story about a book recommendation that meant a lot to us. And I racked my brain because there were so many. Over the years I've been very fortunate and blessed to have received a lot of really good recommendations from various people and sources. And so this is kind of a difficult one because I don't have just one recommendation that stands out above all the others. I have multiple recommendations that stand out for various reasons and are special to me for various reasons. So today I'm going to share my Book Rec Heaven story. Comes from a very unlikely source, my Aunt Ellen. Now, my Aunt Ellen is just 8 years older than I am because she was born later in life to my grandparents. And so even though growing up I never really had a sister, she was kind of the closest thing that I had to one, even though she had sisters. We have hung out throughout the years doing different things. A decade ago, my aunt had a serious medical issue, an attack that almost killed her. And after that event, as a result, the doctors thankfully were able to find out that she had pulmonary hypertension. All of that to explain to you that even though she lives like 2.5 hours away from my house, once a month she comes to my area so that she can go to the support group meetings for other people who have PH. And a lot of times she invites me to go to these support group meetings with her to learn more about her condition and to be more informed about what's going on. So last fall, after the Zebra Fest fun run and walk, we got to go to a couple of bookstores. And at one of these bookstores, she was looking for a certain book. She was looking to give one of my nieces. And I had never heard of it before, but we are looking very ardently for this book. And lo and behold, we were able to find it. She was telling me a little bit about it and said, "You just got to read it. It is such a good story." I was like, okay, I'd never heard of it before. And so we found this copy of The Tale of the Three Trees because there was more than one. There happened to be 2 that day. And so I got to get one because this story is so beautiful and so profound that I had to have it for my collection as well. This is a traditional folktale, and it is retold by Angela Ewell Hunt, and the illustrations are by Tim Jonk. Now, this is an old American folktale, and it is a retelling about these 3 trees who have grown up, and they have these big, beautiful plans and dreams and things that they want to be when they have grown tall and strong. Now, I'm afraid that I couldn't quite do this story justice, and so instead of me telling you almost what it's saying, I'm just going to read it because the illustrations are so beautiful. I thought that I would share them with you. Once upon a mountaintop, 3 little trees stood and dreamed of what they wanted to become when they grew up. The first little tree looked up at the stars twinkling like diamonds above him. "I want to hold treasure," he said. "I want to be covered with gold and filled with precious stones. I will be the most beautiful treasure chest in the world." The second little tree looked out at the small stream trickling by on its way to the ocean. "I want to be a strong sailing ship," he said. "I want to travel mighty waters and carry powerful kings. I will be the strongest ship in the world." The third little tree looked down into the valley below where busy men and busy women worked in a busy town. "I don't want to leave this mountaintop at all," she said. "I want to grow so tall that when people stop to look at me, they will raise their eyes to heaven and think of God. I will be the tallest tree in the world." Years passed, the rains came, the sun shone, and the little trees grew tall. One day the woodcutters climbed the mountain. The first woodcutter looked at the first tree and said, "This tree is beautiful. It's perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the first tree fell. "Now I shall be made into a beautiful chest," thought the first tree. "I shall hold wonderful treasure." The second woodcutter looked at the second tree and said, "This tree is strong. It's perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the second tree fell. "Now I shall sail mighty waters," thought the second tree. "I shall be a strong ship fit for the kings." The third tree felt her heart sink when the last woodcutter looked her way. She stood straight and tall and pointed bravely to heaven, but the woodcutter never even looked up. "Any kind of tree will do for me," he muttered, and with a swoop of his shining axe, the third tree fell. The first tree rejoiced when the woodcutter brought him to the carpenter's shop, but the busy carpenter was not thinking about treasure chests. Instead, his work-worn hands fashioned the tree into a feed box for animals. The once beautiful tree was not covered with gold or filled with treasure. He was coated with sawdust and filled with hay for hungry farm animals. The second tree smiled when the woodcutter took him to the shipyard, but no mighty sailing ships were being made that day. Instead, the once strong tree was hammered and sawed into a simple fishing boat, too small and too weak to sail an ocean or even a river. He was taken to a little lake. Every day he brought in loads of dead, smelly fish. The third tree was confused when the woodcutter cut her into strong beams and left her in a lumber yard. What happened? The once tall tree wondered. All I ever wanted to do was stay on the mountaintop and point to God. Many, many days and nights passed. The three trees nearly forgot their dreams. But one night, golden starlight poured over the first tree as a young woman placed her newborn baby in the feed box. "I wish I could make a cradle for him," her husband whispered. The mother squeezed his hand and smiled as the starlight shone on the smooth and sturdy wood. "This manger is beautiful," she said. And suddenly, the first tree knew he was holding the greatest treasure in the world. One evening, a tired traveler and his friends cowered in an old fishing boat. The traveler fell asleep as the second tree quietly sailed out into the lake. Soon a thundering and thrashing storm arose, and the little tree shuddered. He knew he did not have the strength to carry so many passengers safely through the wind and rain. The tired man awakened. He stood up, stretched out his hand, and said, "Peace." And the storm stopped as quickly as it had begun. And suddenly, the second tree knew he was carrying the King of heaven and earth. One Friday morning, the third tree was startled when her beams were yanked from the forgotten woodpile. She flinched as she was carried through an angry, jeering crowd. She shuddered when soldiers nailed a man's hands to her. She felt ugly and harsh and cruel. But on Sunday morning, when the sun rose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her, the third tree knew that God's love had changed everything. It had made the first tree beautiful. It had made the second tree strong. And every time people thought of the third tree, they would think of God. That was better than being the tallest tree in the world. This is such a beautiful story, and I love the fact that it highlights that even though things in our lives do not go as we planned, in fact, a lot of times they may go the exact opposite of everything that we had hoped and planned and dreamed, God still uses us and can make something beautiful out of ugly or terrible situations. I love the story and those illustrations. and the message in it is just, it's very near and dear to my heart. It's become a very important story to me, and one that I love sharing and recommending since my aunt recommended it to me. I hope you enjoyed this impromptu story time. I didn't intend to read it to y'all, but I decided I just couldn't help it. It needed to be shared. I hope that your reading rush went well and that you had a wonderful time participating if you got to do so. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like and be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so that you'll be notified when I post new videos. If you made a video telling about a recommendation that meant a lot to you, please link it down below. I would love to go check it out. And if you didn't make a video, please share with me down below in the comments a story that someone recommended that has meant a lot to you. I hope that you're having a beautiful and blessed day, my friends. Don't forget to enjoy this story. I will see you soon. Bye.